to. Is this video recorded, Ben, or is it
Hey,
just
good
audio?
morning and welcome to the Cairo podcast. My name is Dr. Ben. I'm your host, just having meaningful conversations with people out there doing amazing things in the chiropractic profession to try and expose you, build context, help you have an easier path to becoming a chiropractor. Today we have two chiropractors, Dr. Sally, Dr. Shady. Thank you two for joining us. Kind of just introduce yourselves. Let us know where you're connecting to us from in the world, and also just a little bit about yourselves, just a little bit about your background, just to give our audience some context.
Ladies first.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. Sally. I'm currently practicing on the Gold Coast in Australia. Been practicing for about 14 years, and we also run Kairos to Cairo. I'm a pediatric-based chiropractor. That's me.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Shady. I know it's a hilariously interesting name. One day I'll tell you the story. I'm a practicing chiropractor of 20 years. Obviously, we both live in the Gold Coast. It's 10 p.m. right now. We're in Australia on the beautiful Queensland. We co-founded Kairos to Cairo in 2010. It started off as taking people from around the world, chiropractors from around the world, around on a tour of Egypt. It has evolved and become so much more. We've done 6 trips in total, and I think over 50 chiropractors have seen Egypt with us. We have 2 beautiful kids, and they're beautiful, healthy chiropractic kids.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, this might be just like an interesting question a minute and a half in, but where's the inspiration come to take chiropractors to Cairo? What has this evolved to become? Like, what is it today? What are some of your intentions behind your work that you're doing out in Egypt?
Well, our intention is to open up the first chiropractic school in the Middle East. It's always been the intention behind Kairos to Cairo, and we just used it as a way to increase the footprint of chiropractic through the Middle East, particularly Egypt, where they really need chiropractors and chiropractic care. And we used it initially to show people, Egypt and get an understanding of the layout there. But it ended up evolving into us doing some mission trip and educating the people of Egypt about chiropractic as well, and having people fall in love with Egypt. So it went both ways. And I guess we're also looking for people to teach and gain some understanding of how to open up the first college in the Middle East.
Yeah, so it's been a wonderful journey, and I think we've been together for coming up nearly 20 years, and I think it was on our second date. Sally had laid this out, this plan for me, that she plans on doing a lot of outreach programs, chiropractic care in the Middle East. Really underserviced area, an area that's really needing that attention. And this is definitely a wonderful and fun-filled way for us to get to this big, audacious goal.
Mm-hmm. So are you using the opportunity to go on this trip with you almost as a fundraising platform as well? Like, the people go there, they start to appreciate what you've exposed them to. They care more about the people. They care more about the country. Because I imagine there's not a ton of chiropractors practicing there, and there's obviously no infrastructure to attract people for the right reasons to your program, to your school that you're starting there. So it's like, this is reason why I'm building this pre-Cairo project, actually, is because if you're starting the school in a new country, what types of materials are you going to have to really create a runway that brings people in for the right reasons and helps contextualize this path to become a chiropractor? So I'm just curious, like, who are your contacts? What types of resources have you been able to really build? Because I do believe in the world of crypto today that you can quickly create a wallet for a college that people care about in a specific community with a real centralized financial abundance, like certain communities I'm paying attention to. Is that, I don't know if you paid attention to the Bored Ape community, but they don't have a lot of purpose. They have a lot of money. There's a lot of wealth there. And if we can somehow say, hey, we're starting a chiropractic school in Egypt, donate to this wallet or just send some crypto to this wallet, that could be a really nice way to raise a couple million. Because I imagine it costs at least $1 million to start the school the proper way, right?
Yeah, and there are definitely, to answer your question, first of all, the integrated purpose. I think the people that come with us to Egypt are really just awesome chiropractors who are very resourceful, who are very principle-centric people who also would love to see the land of Egypt. I mean, I think when we say Egypt, everyone's like, oh my God, it's been on my bucket list forever. So that's essentially the people that are joining us. And yes, of course, while they are there and while they see what potential it has, and they, we're talking a bit more openly now about that big audacious goal of starting a college there. It's definitely nice to have people who are supporting us. People have come out with awesome amounts of support from all different avenues.
Yeah. We've had people volunteer to speak to certain people in positions of power to allow us to cut through a lot of the red tape, because originally chiropractic was illegal in Egypt without a medical degree. So that is changing at the moment, and we've got a few contacts that we're speaking to, trying to get a hold of the health minister. There's a current acting health minister there that we're trying to get in contact with to have a chat about allowing chiropractic to be to run in Ain Shams University, which is in Cairo. So we've got a few things in the pipelines at the moment. We've got a few contacts in Adelaide which have been kind enough to share the course along into the chiropractic college. So to answer your question, it's going to cost about $6 million for it to run. We don't have a crypto wallet, so to speak. I don't think that's been on our radar just yet, but it is something that we will definitely look into to make it easier to run. Yeah.
Awesome. So I had the president of that new Australian chiropractic college on here, who had mentioned that the president from New Zealand had kind of donated the curriculum. Is that the same thing that they're doing for you guys? They're passing it along to you now?
Yes.
Yeah. This is Patrick Sim. Yeah, you were speaking to Pat Sim.
Yeah.
Well, he's a legend in the sport, obviously, and a wonderful human being and a fantastic chiropractor. Yeah. But yeah, I think as people sort of find out what our intentions are, people like himself have been generously coming out and just volunteering their help, which is awesome. But yeah, I do want to emphasize, though, the people that do come with us are not necessarily like there just for this goal for the college. They're there to see Egypt, and they're there to have fun and travel with like-minded chiropractors. And as you'll see from the people we attract and the people that come with us, they're the nicest and some of the most awesome chiropractors worldwide.
Can you talk a little bit about that demographic of the people that have come with you in the past? Are they coming from all over the world? Are they mostly in Australia? Are they a lot from the Americas? Who comes and like what are their intentions when they come? And then what are some surprising things that they discover along the trip that they weren't expecting?
Initially, the first group in 2010 were all Australians. The second tour that we did, we had quite a few Americans and people from Holland that came along, as well as South Africa. And then the last couple of trips that we did, it was a little bit more dispersed. We had a few Europeans, a few Americans, quite a few Australians, and Kiwis.
New
Zealanders came along as well.
Yeah.
So it is growing. This year we've got them from all
over the place. Yeah, all over Europe, all over the United States, South Africa. Interest from New Zealand again, and obviously Australia, because we're from Australia and we're the ones that are, the face of this. So we know a lot of the chiropractors over here. Their intentions for most of them, and to answer your question, demographics, we've had people who are new grads who just have always, it's been on the bucket list and forever a dream to see Egypt. We've got chiropractors, old dad chiropractors that have been practicing for 40 plus years and everything in between. And for them, for most of the time, it's a safe and fun and beautiful way to see Egypt and to tick off a big thing for them to do in their life. You're traveling with two Egyptians that speak the language, have a team on the ground, have basically taken care of everything for you. So that has been sort of the attraction to it. I think the thing that starts to surprise people, apart from how awesome Egypt is, like most people, and there's a video of Travis saying this, they say by day 4, it's like, I've seen enough. And there's usually 8 more days to go. They're like, I've seen enough to last me 2 lifetimes. But I think the beautiful thing is what we do on the last day when we sort of descend on this very, very poor hospital in Cairo and do some mission work and adjust some people. Like, imagine having your mind blown for 12 days, seeing all the antiquities and the sites of ancient Egypt and going to the Red Sea and scuba diving and having all the best time of your life. And then the real cherry on top of all that is you get to spend a day just giving from heart and soul, and then you catch a flight home with all of those memories and feelings and emotions all mushing together, and you've made friends that are going to be friends for the rest of your life because they've shared this experience with you. So
Yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. I saw that you were going to have Travis Corcoran. I saw him on the flyer this year. He's also been on the podcast. Why did you choose him? What does he represent? Who is he? And why was he important for you guys to have on this trip?
So Travis came with us already to Egypt in 2018.
Yeah, 2018.
And when we were cruising down the Nile, we were talking about philosophy and chiropractic at its essence. And it was just beautiful. And I loved listening to him speak about chiropractic.
Yeah.
And I think with, all the politics that goes through quite a few different universities, sometimes the message and the essence of chiropractic gets diluted and we lose its beauty. And having him speak about it, I'm like, I need you to come with us to speak again about chiropractic. Like really,
we invited him on the spot pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, right there and then. Yeah. I think we have a real opportunity in Egypt. It's fertile ground. There's whoever starts the first chiropractic program will essentially dictate what chiropractic means in the Middle East. Now, if we get someone with Travis's style philosophy, and we've had on that trip, it was Liam, Shubal, and Judd were with us as well, and we've had some really awesome. Mark Postles was one on the first chiropractic tour with us.
Yeah.
It's fertile ground, so whoever lays that that flag there, that sticks that flag in there, that will define chiropractic in the Middle East, and we would rather it be a model similar to what Travis stands for, and that vitalistic model. I think if we moved in that trend from the start, we may not have to go through what we're going through in the Western world of having to undo that or have the battles between the two camps. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. What has been your experience of, like, you're obviously building a tribe, you're building a community, you have a mission. How's the community received you? Do you receive lots of support? Do people reach out to you proactively, or does it feel like you have to reach out to people multiple times to get them to really hear you and really see your vision? I'm just curious, just because we live in a profession that may be moving in different directions, especially in Australia. New Zealand seems a little more united together, but you're in a country where obviously there's different versions of what people call, chiropractic over there. I'm just curious, because you are in Australia, how you've been received. Have you shared it a lot in Australia? Or are you kind of keeping it on the low and just doing your work in the background?
I think just to clarify something about chiropractic in Australia. If that's your perception of what's going on over here, I totally understand it. But I think chiropractic as a whole in Australia is quite healthy and vital and good. I think what you see a lot of is just the discrepancies perhaps between different states and different legislations and different legal issues. But the chiropractors themselves over here are very, very good. They're very the biggest of the tribes is the United Tribe, the one that is quote unquote moving in the right direction for us. And then to answer your other question about, yeah, man, people come out of the woodworks out of nowhere and just basically just volunteer love and support and effort and energy. And, I'll come and teach your neurology program, and I'll,
Since we started sharing it with the delegates who have signed up, like, this is our intention of why we're running Kairos to Cairo. We're finding that people are starting to reach out and want to help, and offering support and saying, look, I'll chase this person up with you or for you, or if you need help with, whatever it is, we want to help. We initially kept it to ourselves for the last 17 years because we wanted, to do the work and basically have a foundation in place before we shared the news. But we found that when we started sharing it, a lot more has been happening rather than trying to do it by ourselves. So it's been wonderful the past couple of months in particular. It's really taken a life of its own, and people have come out of, all over the world, have reached out and they're wanting to help, and they're like, speak to this person or speak to that person, and they're providing us with information we wouldn't have been able to procure ourselves.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's been
Awesome.
wonderful.
Yeah, yesterday I had somebody come into the office to get adjusted, and she's from Cairo, and I had mentioned I was going to be having a conversation with you, and she was talking about how there's such a diversity of people there, black, white, you know, light skin, dark tone, white,
Yeah.
you know, blue eyes, green eyes, black.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of, like you said, an amazing place to plant the flag and say this is where chiropractic is going to start. I
Mm.
also had a student from New Zealand who's in clinic come on the podcast last week, and his intention is to start chiropractic up in Kuwait. And I just
Okay.
imagine that having identified the chiropractors that are practicing in the Middle East will really help feed the school
That's great.
students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually, a portion of my childhood was spent in Kuwait. I grew up in Kuwait for 5 years, between age 3 and 8. So, look, Egypt in the Middle East is generally seen as the fountain source for a lot of, like, so for the Arab nations, whether it's Kuwait or the UAE or Saudi, the biggest export that Egypt exports to those countries is actually professionals, whether it's dentists or doctors or lawyers or engineers or whatever. That seems to be our biggest export, and we are seen in the Middle East as the fountain of those sources. As you even know, politically, a lot of the situations that go awry in the Middle East, they come to Egypt to settle it, whether it's Camp David or elsewhere. So to have Egypt as the source where not only those countries send across their students and have them graduate and then return back to Kuwait or Oman or Dubai, you know, wherever they return back to, is really the big picture model over here that we're aiming for. But again, to go back to our second date, you know, it's also having chiropractors who are living in Egypt, growing up in Egypt, and then doing good work in our home country. You know what I mean, and providing a much needed service for a much needing population.
Yeah.
Because do you have any estimate of the numbers of chiropractors in the Middle East practicing right now? Have you done any research yet, or will that kind of come to the surface as you make more visibility and presence felt over there?
At last count, there was 9.
9, yeah.
There was 9. That number's actually increased in the
Yeah.
last 2 years.
Yeah.
So we're going to visit one in particular who's in Cairo, who's just opened up within the last 2 years,
Yeah.
and go get adjusted with him and have a chat to him about his ideas and philosophy and how he studied and how he found opening up a clinic in Egypt and educating the people of Cairo about chiropractic.
Yeah, there's currently one chiropractor. He's done a TED talk, TEDx Cairo, and he's a chiropractor speaking about chiropractic. But he was a medical doctor. So a lot of, I think the first 3 chiropractors practiced in Egypt were like orthopedic surgeons and medical specialists who, you know, got adjusted, had their minds essentially blown by the adjustment, went off, studied life or wherever else, and then went back and started practicing. It's actually hard to quantify the number of chiropractors in the Middle East because it is still not a recognized, registered profession with a board and a body. Like, whereas with us over here, you can do a search and you can get great numbers because of the legislation. Being in that grey field that it's currently in, it's hard to get real clear statistics. But for 100 million people in Egypt and you know, a few 100 million people in the Middle East, there wouldn't be more than a couple of 100 chiropractors serving. So it's definitely from a market perspective, it's a market that's ready and willing to receive. Yeah.
Wow. Can you kind of do a deep dive on the itinerary for this program that you guys have created, Kairos to Cairo?
Yeah, absolutely. So we always start in Egypt. We start with the pyramids because people, obviously, they think Egypt, they think pyramids. And, you know, they joke and they say, you started with the best thing. I'm like, no, hold your horses.
I haven't seen anything yet.
And then we do, obviously, the Cairo Museum. We do, and then we fly down to Luxor. So we go to the south. We do Karnak Temple, which you would know from Indiana Jones, when he runs through that temple, the Temple of Luxor. And then we take a cruise for 4 days and we visit all the other temples. So the first hospital where you see all the primitive tools, which is still used to this day in like neurosurgery, for example. We see the Temple of Love, we see Abydos Temple, and we go through all the history and the stories that are written in hieroglyphics on the walls. Manad, our Egyptologist, explains everything beautifully. There is a hot air balloon ride that's also done at sunrise, and we get to see the Valley of the Kings, which you know Tutankhamun's tomb is there. King Ramses's tomb's there. We also see Queen Hatshepsut's temple, which is carved within a mountain. So we get to see that. At the end of the Nile cruise, we fly to Sharm el-Sheikh, which is on the Red Sea, and we relax for a few days. People can go scuba diving, quad biking through the Sahara Desert, do a Bedouin dinner, just snorkel around, do that sort of thing for a few days. And then we fly back to Cairo and we do our mission trip.
Yeah.
So we do the seminar portion usually when we're cruising down the Nile. It's really nice. It's relaxed. It's, you know, it's a great space. Everyone would have known everyone from Cairo. So it's a lot more of a gentle space to learn. With a bit more time on the boat.
Logistically, we have an awesome team on the ground. So if you were to come with us to Egypt, you'd get out at the airport. There'll be a representative there waiting to take you. You get taken to the hotel. You find mine and Sally's smiling faces greeting you. We settle you in. We do a delegates dinner. Every step of the way is catered for. Egypt has 1/3 of the world's antiquities. So all the 1/3 of the world's history basically still resides in Egypt. So we have an actual professional Egyptologist that travels with us and explains absolutely everything as we're going through. Nothing is left as a question mark. All the history, all the background, everything is given. And that's all included when we are cruising down the Nile. That is just probably the most surreal experience for most people. You're on this wonderful luxury boat only to stop and see things that, you know, were built 2,500 and 3,500 years ago. So yeah, there's a lot of logistics, and that's I point at Sally, and I've got to acknowledge her because she handles all of that, and our team on the ground is absolutely phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
Any final messages just about the school, the trip, anything that you want to send out there to any students, any docs, just as like a final message?
Yeah, if you're keen to teach in Egypt, you know, our details will probably be at the bottom of this podcast. Hit us up. We'd love some teachers, particularly if you're a lot more philosophically and vitalistically based.
Yeah.
If you want to come learn in Egypt, you know, give us a couple of years, probably about 2 to 3 years, and, you know, come learn in Egypt.
Yeah. And forget all that. If you just want to see Egypt, if Egypt's been on your bucket list and you're a chiropractor and you want to do it with some awesome, like-minded people with legitimate tax deduction, obviously for your trip as well, and traveling in a safe, fun way with people who know the lay of the land, speak the language, and have a team on the ground. We would love for any chiropractors to join us, whether they're involved in our school project or not. It's more about them as well and their experience. If they want, if that's, you know, like I said, whenever you say Egypt, people are like, oh my God, Egypt, it's been on my, been dreaming about that my whole life. So if that is a dream that you want to make true and, you know, come true, we're more than happy to be the people to show you around. We'd be honored. Absolutely.
Awesome.